Hello, my name is Charlie Spedding. I have worked for most of my life as a pharmacist. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in pharmacy and a few decades of experience as a medical professional. However, I left my pharmacy career earlier than I had intended to because I was frustrated and disillusioned. I was dealing with so many people who had metabolic diseases. They took their medication but never got better because the drugs were treating the symptoms of their disease but not the root cause. After a lot of research, it is clear to me that the root cause of the obesity epidemic and all its associated diseases is our ultra-processed, high-carbohydrate diet, the very high-carb, low-fat diet promoted by the NHS. We are all currently under a severe lockdown, which will soon be changed to a tier system, which for most people will seem almost the same. I believe that lockdowns do far more harm than good to our overall health, and they have been imposed without any proper benefit to harm analysis. I want to talk about some of the things the people in power are not talking about. On the TV news every single night for 8 months, we have been told and shown the running total of people who have died with COVID. This number is a record of how many people have died for any reason whatsoever within 28 days of a positive test. So all the people who died of cancer, heart disease, dementia, suicide, road accidents are all included if they had tested positive within the previous month. This has never been done before in any other disease. This is a corruption of the truth. We cannot know how many people have actually died as a direct result of COVID because of this accounting method. This policy is a deliberate act to make the coronavirus appear more deadly than it is. Why would they do that? Let's look in detail at the people who have died. 80% of deaths were in people over 70, 61% in the over 80s. Over 50% of the deaths were in people who were older than the average life expectancy. We know that 80% of deaths were in the over 70s, but they weren't just old, they were metabolically ill. 95% of the people who died had at least one pre-existing condition. These include heart disease, diabetes, cancer, dementia. When did Johnson, Hancock, Whitty, Valance or the BBC ever mention that old, sick people die from COVID and relatively very few others? They constantly imply that this virus is just as dangerous for everybody. These two people are supposedly leading the fight against COVID. Chris Whitty has had various government advisory jobs for over a decade. Patrick Vallance has been Chief Scientific Advisor to the government since 2018. I have a question for you. What has been the biggest health problem in the UK throughout the last decade? It is not COVID. It is the obesity epidemic and all the associated metabolic diseases that go with it. During their tenure, what have Whitty and Vallance done to rectify that enormous burden on the health of this nation? So far as I can tell, not one single thing. And that, in my mind, is negligence. These are the metabolic diseases associated with a bad diet and with obesity. 50,000 people have died with COVID. 4 million people have type 2 diabetes, and they will typically die up to 10 years before they otherwise would. These are the diseases which constantly put the NHS and hospitals under pressure. These are the diseases which were present in 95% of the people who died with COVID. We have wrecked the economy, put 64 million people under severe stress, spent billions paying people to stay at home hiding from a virus, and spent nothing at all tackling the root cause of all of our health problems, which are bad food and bad lifestyles. I have nothing but utter contempt for these inhumane, negligent, corrupt and despicable men. And I am not alone. I have compiled a small selection of expert opinions which completely disagree with the government and SAGE. If you want to know more, and learn what you can do about it, please visit this webpage.